You know, in the incredibly complex world of modern warfare, sometimes all it takes is the removal of a single piece to send the entire board into chaos. Well, this is the story of one of those moments. A single, calculated strike that pushed the Middle East, and maybe the entire world, right to the edge of all-out war.
So let's set the scene. It's February 28th, 2026, midnight in Tehran. The last Saturday of Ramadan. This right here, this was the exact moment that a shadow war, one that had been simmering for decades, finally boiled over and went hot.
The weapons were American and Israeli. The targets? Incredibly precise. And the intention? Well, it was unmistakable. For the leadership of Iran, there was just no warning at all. What we're talking about here is a decapitation strike. It's an act of war, and it was aimed at the very, very top of the Iranian regime, the supreme leader himself, Ali Khamenei. This is the man who had ruled Iran for 37 years.
When the explosions ripped through his reinforced residence, that was it. The man who survived the Iran-Iraq War, the man who built the IRGC into this regional superpower, the man who basically defined Iran's opposition to the West, he was gone. And the entire system that he personally held together, well, now it was broken.
Now, get this. The official announcement didn't even come from Iranian state TV. It came from a post on Truth Social by the American President Donald Trump. His message was as blunt as you can get. The supreme leader is dead. This wasn't some quiet back-channel admission. No, this was a public declaration. This was the language of total war.
So, with the leader gone, the immediate problem wasn't just anger or grief. It was a deep, dangerous, structural failure inside the Iranian state itself. It's like the keystone of the entire republic had just been violently yanked out.
You see, Ali Khamenei wasn't just a political figure. He was the final judge, the ultimate arbiter in a state that's really built on a paradox. He was the only person who could balance the two massive competing power centers that really define what modern Iran is. On one side, you have the clerical establishment. They provide the regime with its religious legitimacy, its reason for being. But on the other side, you have the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, and they control, well, everything else. The military, the economy, the intelligence services. Khamenei was the guy who stood between them, mediating and balancing their interests. Without him, these two factions are set on a direct collision course.
For the IRGC, there was no discussion, no debate. Their response to the assassination of their commander-in-chief was already planned. It was inevitable. It was immediate, and it had a name.
Operation True Promise 4. Now, this was a direct continuation of previous major attacks against Israel, but this time, it was on a scale nobody had ever seen before. The IRGC's entire strategic doctrine was officially active. You have to understand, the IRGC has spent decades getting ready for this exact scenario. Their whole arsenal is asymmetric. It's designed to get around America's conventional military power. We're talking thousands of ballistic missiles, swarms of attack drones, all hidden away in hardened, scattered sites. They have a whole network of powerful allies across the region, and their command structure was built with redundancy in mind, built to survive exactly this kind of decapitation strike. The system was designed to hit back, hard, even with its leadership in total chaos.
So what's their end game? The IRGC's theory of victory isn't about defeating the U.S. military in a head-to-head fight. It's about making the price of this conflict just too high to bear. So, Step 1, completely overwhelm American and Israeli air defenses. Step 2, inflict mass casualties on U.S. troops. Step 3, choke off the world's oil supply. And Step 4, create so much political pain back home that America has no choice but to withdraw.
But even as the IRGC was getting its missiles ready, a second front was opening up, this one inside Iran itself. And the ultimate path of this conflict? Well, it wasn't going to be decided by missiles alone. It was going to be decided by the Iranian people. So here's the massive gamble that American and Israeli intelligence agencies just made. Would this assassination trigger a popular uprising against a suddenly weakened regime? Or would the attack actually create a new sense of national unity, rallying everyone around the flag against a foreign attacker?
The two potential outcomes couldn't be more different. On one path, fragmentation, mass protests erupt, people demand revolution, and the regime might just collapse from the inside. The other path, escalation, a massive surge of nationalist anger, giving the IRGC all the political cover it needs to wage a total war without anyone at home questioning them. And in those first few hours, it looked like both were happening at the same time.
So, as Iran descended into chaos, and missiles were being prepped for launch, The United States and Israel were facing their own brutal choice. They had just started a clock on a crisis that now had no easy way out.
The next 72 hours were going to be absolutely critical. The IRGC's retaliation was coming, that was a given. The decision on how to respond to that retaliation would determine whether this whole thing could be contained or if it would spiral out of control into a truly catastrophic regional war.
And there were really only two options on the table, both of them with devastating consequences. Option 1, absorb the retaliation. Just take the hit. That avoids immediate escalation, sure, but it also signals weakness and completely shatters the idea of deterrence. Option 2, overwhelming escalation. A response 10 times bigger, hitting not just military sites, but economic infrastructure too. And that path leads to total war, a global economic crash, and one final irreversible outcome.
Faced with what it sees as an existential threat, Iran finally crosses the last red line. They've already got the enriched uranium stockpiled. The decision to actually build a weapon could be carried out in just a matter of weeks. The world's most ideologically hostile regime would become a nuclear power.
That initial strike was a masterclass in military precision and power. But as the world now holds its breath, just watching these events unfold, a really fundamental truth of modern conflict becomes crystal clear. Killing a leader is easy. Managing the consequences is not.